to can I call my liberal friend, socialist friend, what would you like to be called?
What's called friends?
Okay, a friend. You can call me conservative and I won't object. So to my friend from Vermont, you're right. We can lower costs and improve quality. The question is how. Do you agree with that, Ms. Turner?
Absolutely.
Okay, how do you get innovation in a system? Dr. said outside, is that right? I'm sorry.
I'll say it.
Yeah, well, count me in for innovation, count me in for lowering costs, count me in for improving quality, and makes all the sense in the world. But let's talk about tomatoes. Who grows tomatoes in America? Anybody expert on tomatoes? The government doesn't grow tomatoes. Tomatoes are grown by the private sector, and there's competition in the marketplace to grow tomatoes. And we don't do collective farming. And the last thing you want in the tomato world is to have the government take over the production of tomatoes and go to the Soviet-style collective farming where everybody eventually starves. So let's keep tomatoes the way they are and let's improve healthcare. So the bottom line is I'm looking for a system that would lower cost, improve quality, and I'm begging you to have a vote on your bill. I am begging you, I'm encouraging you, I'm asking President Biden, in case you're watching, please call Senator Schumer and insist that we have a vote on Medicare for all on the floor of the United States Senate as soon as possible. And we won't, because Democratic colleagues know that it would go over like a lead balloon with the American public. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'd win the day, but we're not going to fix this problem until we start voting on solutions and alternatives. Dr. Blahaus, is that right?
Yes.
Well, if every hospital in America went to Medicare reimbursement rates for their their only source of payment, how many hospitals would close?
Well, it's hard to say how many would close. The CMS Medicare actuaries have said that the vast majority of hospitals operate at a negative margin for their Medicare patients, their Medicare treatments.
So they make it up through the private pay system, is that correct?
That's correct. And they put out a projection a couple of years ago saying that, roughly 80% of facilities would be plunged into negative margins within a few years if all of their reimbursements were at Medicare rates.
Ms. Turner, what's your view of that? What if America, all of a sudden, everybody in the hospital arena were reimbursed at Medicare payments at the current rate, and that was it?
Well, this is a good question to ask for this director of the Congressional Budget Office, because they have basically said that a great majority of physician practices and hospitals and clinics would simply not be able to keep their doors open. The private sector, employer-based health insurance in particular,
if you spent 15
supplements
minutes
that.
talking to the people in South Carolina, in rural areas, their biggest nightmare is to be locked in at Medicare and Medicaid rates because they'd have to close because you just can't pay the cost. And if you start mandating patient to nurse ratios, that increase your cost. So a lot of hospitals will go out of business. There's got to be a better way. So the idea of having the government as the only source of revenue is, I think, a bad idea, because you're no better than the government will allow you to be. And you would have to increase Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement rates, or you would shut down a large number of hospitals in this country because they literally can't operate without a private pay function. Let me ask this question. Do you all agree that under Medicare for all, private health insurance options go away for the American people? Everybody's nodding. Okay, I just want to get that baseline. The question is that a good idea or a bad idea? So what I would like to do, Mr. Chairman, is vote on your proposal. That is, I like the committee. We talk a lot. We don't vote on much of anything. Let's take your idea and vote on it, because if we did that, I think you would find out that Medicare for all would be the equivalent of collective farming over time. And I don't want to go down that road. I'd like to do more private sector involvement in healthcare, not less. I'd like to have more competition, not less. I'd like to get more innovation, not less. And I can tell you one thing, the more you consolidate power in the healthcare arena, under the government umbrella, you're going to get less of innovation, you're going to get more in cost, and you're going to get less in quality. You just have to wait longer. You have to ration care because eventually you break the budget to the point it can't be repaired. Medicare is in a very tenuous situation. Let's focus on saving Medicare as we have it today, and let's find ways to talk with each other about lowering that cost from $12,000 per patient to something lower, and see if you can have an open mind to some of my ideas, and maybe I'll have an open mind to some of your ideas. Might be able to fix this thing over time. But let's start with this idea. We should be voting on this. We shouldn't be talking about it any longer. Let's vote.
Well, if I could just briefly respond before I give the mic to Senator Padilla about voting.
Can I say one thing I forgot? Unanimous consent to submit letters and op-ed to the record for Freedom Works, Council for Citizens Against Government Waste, American for Prosperity, Americans for Tax Reform, and the Cato Institute, as well as an article from the Washington Post.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Graham, you may or may not know that I have been one of the major proponents in the Senate to have more votes. I like votes. I think it brings forth debate. But I think while we're at it,
You're the
in
chairman.
addition, I'm the chairman of this committee, but not the majority leader. I think we should vote on whether we continue massive tax breaks for billionaires so that Jeff Bezos in a given year doesn't pay a nickel in taxes. I think we should vote on whether we end Citizens United so that billionaires are not able to buy elections as they're doing it right now as we speak. I think we should vote on whether or not Medicare should negotiate prescription drug prices so that we can lower the cost of prescription drugs in this country in half, and a lot of other issues. So you're talking to the wrong guy here. I like the idea of votes.
Well, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, you're the chairman of the committee. This is about Medicare for all. If you want to vote on all those things, fine. Let's start with your idea.
Let's vote on all of them. Good.
Well, let's start with Medicare for all. Have a vote next week.
All right.